Are we going? Hey, everybody, Frank Raffele here. It's 3 o'clock, and we're starting our live Facebook post video here. Thank you for coming today. Today, we're doing specificity plus creativity equals referability. Okay, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give this a minute or two for everybody to get on board. But when we talk about this today, we're really going to focus on is not just, even though it obviously works very well with BNI, I always believe that you have to talk first about your business and making your business better in order to make BNI better. The more you understand about your business, the better you get at doing your business, the better you're going to be at BNI. So we're going to talk today, it's really about marketing and sales is obviously our focus because that's what really BNI is about. So let's talk about this. Specificity plus creativity equals referability. What do I mean by that? Well, in our BNI chapter, every week we have to do our weekly presentations. And when we do those weekly presentations, we're trying to educate and train the people in the room on who we are, what we do, and what a good referral is for us. And we're trying to give them an idea of how to recognize business for us. We're trying to give them that idea of when they're out there and they recognize that business, how do they get in that conversation? How do they make it work for them? So if I'm out and I find somebody that could be a good referral for you, how do I actually have that conversation with somebody? So that's the type of things you have to do. But here's what I find. When I go to chapters virtually every day, every week, and I'm listening to members give their weekly presentation, many of them don't even ask for a referral at the end. And those that do aren't really asking for a good referral or a referral at all. So here's what you want to think about. In your business, first you have to think about who is your target market. And for those of you who can say, well, really anybody's a good piece of business for me. Any business that's out there, any individual that's out there. So for instance, you sell vitamins. Every person that wants to keep their health, that's a good referral for me. I'm a chiropractor. Anybody with a spine, that's a good referral for me. You know, so there's all these businesses that we have where really you don't have a specific target market, but everybody is your target market. Well, that's wonderful because now everybody in the world you can do business with. What I want to say to you is, I'm sorry. Because that's not good for you. It's not good for you because that works when you have a really large budget, right? When you're PepsiCo, when you're IBM, when you're Coca-Cola, when you're Nike, when you're anybody like that, and basically anybody that's out there is a potential piece of business for you, well, you can start to market towards that. And the way that you're going to go about marketing towards that is you're going to spend a lot of money to do that. I mean, think about Pepsi commercials on TV, right? So you got the Pepsi commercials on and they have rock stars, right? They have athletes, they have, anybody you can imagine, actors, movie stars, television stars, all on there pushing their product. Because all they're saying is that everyone is a potential client for Pepsi. Well, we don't have that budget. And the reality is you have to be more specific with what you're looking for. So if you can pick out 3 or 4 target markets or 3 or 4 vertical markets you want to go in, it's going to help you a lot more. Let me use from a B2C perspective, the vitamin thing as an example. So anybody that's alive today could take my vitamins. Let's say I sell vitamins. Okay, so that's my potential client base. So I go in and I'm talking about different people. Well, that's not going to help you, and it's not helping the people in your chapter. So the first thing you have to know is specifically who do I want to be going for? And what you want to look at is who are those people that are going to tend to buy vitamins more than others. And you can look at life situations, you can look at problems people have, you can look at demographics, different things along those lines. So let's say I'm selling vitamins. I could look at women who are pregnant, because women who are pregnant need obviously more nutrition than somebody else, so that would be a good target market. I could look at people who are now 50 or 60 or above, who now need additional vitamins. They might be more likely to do it, and they're more conscious about their health and willing to spend the money, so that might be a good target for me. I get people who are into athletics, and training and doing that because now they're very conscious about their body and what they're doing. So now I've picked out, those are just 3 target markets. And what I can do is say, I want to really push these in BNI and get people to understand. And each week I can then talk about those more specifically. If I'm doing B2B, I can do the same type of thing, become more specific. I see people like if they're in ADP or Paychecks or it's an accountant and they're saying, well, anybody, I can do payroll for anybody. I can do accounting for anybody, taxes for anybody. That's not going to help your business. It's too broad. You have to make it easy for the people in the room. Here's what I assume. This is the premise I think we all need to go after. I assume that everybody in the world is as busy as I am or busier. and I assume that everybody in the world has as much on their mind as I do or more. Now, if those two things are actually true, here's what I know. I know that you have a lot of stuff on your mind, right? And you're just way too busy to be thinking about me all the time. I know that. You don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of energy in doing all that. So you're kind of focused on you and what's going on for you. So when you come, let's say we're at a BNI chapter together. When you come to that chapter every week, I believe that you believe in giver's gain. I believe that you want to help me, and I want to help you. Okay, I honestly believe that everybody there really wants to do that. And I think they're pretty well focused during that hour and a half to run that meeting. But let's say they are. Let's even say they are, and they listen to your weekly presentation, and they're getting a lot out of it. When they leave that meeting, if the meeting's from 7 to 8:30, and they leave that meeting at 8:30, so now it's 8:31, guess what they're not thinking about anymore? They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about all the other people in the chapter. What they're thinking about is their life, their demands, their issues, their concerns, their fires they have to put out. And so if that's what they're focused on just 2 minutes out of the meeting, why would I think they're going to think about me an hour or a day or 2 days later? And I honestly believe that they're not. Not that they don't want to, but that they're not. Maybe it's in a power team or something like that because we work together all the time. So what we have to look at is, how do I become specific enough to make it easy enough for you to remember me? That's where specificity comes in. I need you to be as specific as possible of what you're looking for. Let's take it as an example from a B2B perspective. So if I'm asking for a referral, I want you to think of these 6 steps to go through. One is talk about industry. Then I want you to talk about the business in general, then the business name, then the profession, then the title of the position you're looking for, and then the person's name. Okay, so let me kind of give you an example. Hey everybody, Frank Raffele here, and right now I'm focused on the medical industry. And within the medical industry, I'm really looking to work with hospitals. And the hospital I'm looking for right now is here in Poughkeepsie called Vassar Brothers Hospital. And I'm looking to work with the person in the HR department. In fact, the specific person I'm looking to speak with is the Director of Human Resources, and her name is Jane Smith. So think about everything that I just gave to you, right? I was very specific. I said medical industry, hospitals, Vassar Brothers Hospital, right? Then I said director of an HR person, director of HR, and Jane Smith. That's 6 bits of information that I've given to you. So when I give that to you, it's pretty specific, pretty easy for you to remember. Now that's the specificity part. I focused on what it can do for you. Now, your job when you're sitting and listening, all of our jobs when we're listening, is not just to take that information and kind of do a checklist of, yep, nope. So for instance, okay, so Frank wanted Jane Smith. Do I know Jane Smith? No. Do I know somebody who knows Jane Smith? No. Can't help him. Can't help him. He wants Jane Smith. I can't help him. Of course you can help him. Are you crazy? You know how much information that he just gave you in that? Think about that. So he said Jane Smith. Let's go back. Let's go up the ladder that we just came down. He said Jane Smith. So do you know Jane Smith? No. Do you know somebody who knows Jane Smith? Do you know somebody who might know somebody who knows Jane Smith? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Then he said HR, Director of Human Resources. Do you know somebody in the Human Resources Department at that hospital? Do you know somebody in administration at that hospital? Do you know somebody who's a Human Resources person at another hospital? Do you know somebody who's Director of Human Resources at another medical facility? Do you know somebody who's the Director of Human Resources at any other type of business that's not even medical? Because let's face it, just because I'm asking for medical this week in hospitals doesn't mean I won't take somebody else in another industry. If you know somebody, then you have a contact, a connection, or a lead for me that can be extremely powerful. So that's where you have to get creative with the information that I give you. And then you can keep going back up that ladder. So he said Director of Human Resources. Then we said, okay, we're looking at Vassar Brothers Hospital. Well, do I know somebody in another hospital somewhere else? Do I know somebody in any other hospitals, in any other medical centers, medical industry? Well, is he looking for something besides a hospital? Would I know a place that owns 50 different medical offices? Would that be good? Do you understand? When you're being really specific, and if all of us in BNI can think about the creative process, that I give you my specificity, but your job is to be creative with that information, then we go into what's called developing referrals. That we take our contacts, connections, and leads, and we take those and we can start to develop them into something that's real for all of us. And that's what we want to look at. So if you're specific, then everybody in your chapter can be creative. If that happens, you become your referability goes out. I don't just mean your credibility. That has to be there. Meaning, referability has a couple different meanings. One, referability means, are you referable? Do I trust you? Do I have confidence in you? Do I know about your character and your competency? Do I think you're a person of good business ethics? Are you trustworthy? Are you honest? And if you are, you have good character. I feel good about you. On the other side of that, are you a person that's competent at what you do? Are you good at what you do? Maybe I haven't used you. Maybe other people in the chapter have used you. Maybe they've given testimonials about you. So when I feel good about your character and your competency, you then now become referable to me. But being referable, just because that doesn't mean you're referable that I actually know how to do it, that I'm actually going to work my database for you. That's what we're talking about today. If you can work on your specificity, look at those target markets you want to go after, pick those target markets, and then go vertical in them. Go down, go deep. Don't just try to keep going out to everybody. Go on specific ones. Let's just say I was going after the medical industry and I was going after dentists, for argument's sake. Okay, well, if I focus on dentists and I go to one dentist office after the next, after the next, after the next, I start to understand that business. I start to become a professional in my industry about how I can help them. And I start to learn their jargon. I start to be more well known. I go to their association meetings. I go to their I sponsor whatever they're doing. Whatever it might be, I can get myself more well known in that vertical market, and all of a sudden I can be doing more business because dentists know dentists and they can refer things out to other people. That's the type of thing that we're looking for. Look at those vertical markets that you can get into. And once you look at those specific vertical markets, you can start to penetrate them. And you know how you can penetrate them? Your BNI chapter can help you do that. Because if I go in and ask for dentists every week, or hospitals, or human resource directors, or women that are pregnant, or people that are into competitive athletes, okay, all of those different people in the chapter will end up knowing them, or will meet them at one point, and it makes it easier for them. And you can ask for direct referrals, as we know, and you can ask for referral sources. When we talk about that, I mean, I'm going to give you the obvious math, right? The obvious math is I can give you 5 great pieces of business in the next year that close into business. Let's say I give you 5 great pieces of business in the next year. Would you like that? Sure. Who wouldn't like that? That's like almost one every other month just from you. That'd be fantastic. Or here's the second choice. I can give you 5 referral sources who can each give you 5 pieces of business in the next year. Which would you prefer? Well, obvious math, right? One means 5 pieces of business in the next year, or the other means 25 pieces of business in the next year. Obviously, you want the 25 pieces of business. So when you're there looking at those verticals, don't just think about the account. Don't just think about the person. Think about who are other referral sources that can help you get there. And again, if you become more specific, as we talked about with the B2B, right, if we go through and we say industry and the business name and the profession and the person's name and the position, that makes it very specific. If you're B2C on the consumer side, right, you can say things like what the demographic is that you're looking for. What's the geo footprint, meaning in what area you're looking to pull these people in from, okay? And you can be looking at what is the problem or the life situation that this person might have, or the need for your product. You know, what are the interests of this person? That's on a B2C side when you're looking at somebody and doing that. The problem I hear in a lot of people who are doing B2C, business to customer, direct, is they're saying like, well, it's everybody, so I can't have any verticals. I can't do that. Of course you can. You can think about the different client base that you have and what you can do with that. And it's important to get as specific as you can. Just checking my time. Okay, it's about 5 more minutes, then we're gonna go for questions, right? So I want you to be specific. So while in the chapter, you're making it as easy as possible for the people in your chapter to understand what a good referral is for you, okay? And you're respecting that they have a lot on their mind and they have a lot going on, and they're not gonna be thinking about you all the time. So you want to make it easy for them to remember you. And if we can all commit and we can get all of our BNI members to be creative with the information we give them, and this happens in the giver's game philosophy that you have to start this. So in this next week, when you go to your BNI chapter and somebody's doing their weekly presentation, I want you to sit there and not just go, nope, don't have anybody for them. Think about who might you know that you can refer to them. Think about a complex referral that you're gonna start working your network for that person. I don't know that, but I might know somebody else. See if for every person in that room, see if you might have a contact that may be 2 or 3 generations away from the person he's looking for. because then you can go up to him or her and say, hey, look, I know this person who I think might be able to get us in, and then you start to work on that together. And what happens by you doing that, by you working your network, it gets them to want to do the same thing for you. So if all of a sudden we can start to work the network in BNI, it becomes much more valuable. Here's what I want you to think about. When we say the term BNI, Business Network International, what does the word network mean? When I ask most people that, they say, well, the network is the network of the people in that room. It's the members in the room. And you're right. That is one of the networks. But that's not really the main network we're talking about. In fact, I believe the word network in BNI does not mean those people in the room. You know what it means? It means that person's network and that person's network and that person's network and his network and her network, all the networks outside of the room. That's what we're really talking about. We're talking about that outside of this room, each of these people have 250 contacts. So if I have 20 people in the chapter, that's 4,000 or 5,000 contacts that I have. That's what BNI is about. It's not about us sitting in the room. It's about the people who are not sitting in the room, the people that we can give to each other. So if you're being specific and we're all being creative, we all become more referable. That's how we can make it work. But you have to be focused on being as specific as you can. And then on the opposite side of that, when you sit down and when you're not going, you got to be as creative as you can to start working that complex network and seeing how we can work each other's businesses to go somewhere. It's about creating something from nothing. It's about getting to the point of developing referrals for each other. And we do that through the specificity, creativity, and referability process. I hope that makes sense to everybody. And we can use this, by the way, outside of BNI as well. So even if you're not in a BNI chapter, you use the same method when you're talking to other people outside of BNI in what you're doing. So let me kind of stop now and see what questions you have. If you have questions, please start to type them in. I'll answer anything that I can. As you're doing that, let me cover a couple things. One, I don't know how well this microphone's working today, but I have actually a really good quality microphone, but I couldn't get it hooked up. So hopefully in the future, it's going to be less echoey and sound a lot better. I wanted to let you know that. Future videos, I will not be doing anything during the month of May because I'll be traveling the whole month. I'm virtually away in Asia and then upstate New York and Vegas. So I'll be gone and I won't be back really till May. So I'll be starting to do these twice a month, and I'll schedule those and put them out. And I would also like to know from you if you have a certain subject matter you'd like me to cover more, please let me know that, and I'll be sure to cover those. And all of these, when I get back in May, we'll start putting these up on YouTube, on my YouTube account. I'll put that out to everybody so you can go and get these anytime in terms of that. Because I didn't know you could upload these to YouTube, and I found out you could. Go figure. Okay, so let's see what questions you have. Okay. Is anybody? Let me kind of start to look through here. Good morning, see you. Hi, everybody. A lot of highs here. Is this being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. Yeah. Mike, who else? Questions. This would be a great video addition to week 5 of the Diamond Growth Program. Well done, Frank. Well, good. Use it that way and use it any way you want. That's what these are about. Okay. Chronological specificity is a big one for me. A lot of time we think of the now biz, but most of the time our biz is coming in 60 to 90, even a year or two down the line. Yeah, this is from Craig Wittak. I think I'm saying that right. You know, you're right, Craig, and this goes back to something we'll talk about before. And actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see a video there on a thing I call Frankly Speaking. And we talk about today's money, tomorrow's money. And the problem with most small businesses is they're all stuck in what's called today's money cycle. We're all stuck on, oh, I have to get more business in the next 30, 60, 90 days. If your business is stuck in the today's money cycle, that you have to close 70 to 80% of your business in the next 60 to 90 days, that's a problem. Not a good way to run your business. So we'll talk about in the future. Go look at that other video. I'll give you a little bit of advice there, but that's a really important thing that you want to start getting to a tomorrow's money cycle. So you have, the idea is instead of having to close business in the next 60, 90 days, you'd 70, 80% of your business. Then what you can do is have 70 to 80% of your business already closed for the next 60 to 90 days, and you're working on month 4, 5, and 6 from now, and eventually even longer. I know for some of you say that's impossible. It's not how my business works. I'm telling you, you're wrong. It's not impossible. It's just putting the strategy in place to make it happen. Okay. So let me see what else. Marie, who do you know? Yeah, exactly. Oh, sounds good. So I'm sounding pretty good. The mic's not bad. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other questions? Let's see. Thanks, Frank. Great info. What is the best way to build a relationship with others on a board of directors with you? This is from Greta Schulz. Greta, great to have you here. You know, that's a great question. You know, we go out and a lot of us get involved in these nonprofit boards and things that we're doing, and Part of the reason we're there is to network, even though we're not allowed to usually pass out business cards and do that. But a lot of people on that board do business together. Here's what I can tell you. There's a saying we use in this region. The way that you do anything is the way that you do everything, even if it's not true. The way that you do anything is the way that you do everything, even if it's not true. So the best thing that you can do when you get on that board is participate, become part of it, get involved in subcommittees, do whatever you can. But when you go to do something on that board, treat them like they are your ultimate client. Go in there and do an outstanding job in everything you're volunteering for and be the person that shines above everybody else. The reason is you have other players in the community sitting on that board. And when they see you not just do what you say you were going to do, but go beyond it and do a lot more. And just be like, wow, this person went, I mean, we asked him to do A, B, and C, and he came back, he did A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, D, E, F. Like he just kind of went nuts with this. That makes them impressed with you. So even though they've never done business with you before, they now can refer you out because they think that they trust in what you're doing, and they may feel more confident in you and possibly bring you into their own business. So without even having to solicit them, by showing it, by taking the actions, by doing things that make you look good, will really help you in terms of the credibility of those people on the board. So go there, and obviously there's the basic networking. Get there ahead of time, stay late, network with these people, and try to do one-to-ones with each member of the board. Say, look, we're working together on this board. I'd love to get to know you better and do that type of thing, especially the person who's the president or chairman of the board. See if you can do a one-to-one with them and say, look, I really want to be a productive member of the board. I'd love to sit down with you and find out what you think I could be doing more, what we could do. I like just to get to know you better. You do that and show that interest, it brings you up a level. And that person is a connected person in that board, and it's going to help you get more exposure that way. So I hope that answers the question. Great question, though. Thank you so much. All right, niche focus, get noticed. Yep, Daniel Quintana, niche your focus, and you'll get noticed. Daniel knows that. He's a marketing guy. So, what else? So Alexandra, thanks for telling people to think out of the box. Absolutely. Should you ask for the same types of people every week, or should you vary your markets? That's a Jeannie asked that question. You know, that's a great question. And the answer is, it depends, right? It depends on what you're looking for. So for example, let's say that now we're, let's say you're at the time of the year, like this happens, we're recording this right now in March. So April, May, and June's coming up. So we're in that spring, summer month. So depending on your business, the question is, in the next quarter, does that matter to your business? Is your business seasonal in some way? So who should you be asking for? So if you're focused on a certain product or service or target market, you could be asking for the exact same people every week if you want, as long as you're connecting it to the product in a different way. Because it could be the same target market, maybe different reasons that target market wants to be coming after that. So, and sometimes you may want to switch it because that product could go after 3 or 4 different target markets. One of the examples I've used before is, let's say I'm a real estate agent and I have what's called a first-time home buyer's house. And depending where you are in the country, it depends how much that is. Could be $100,000 to $200,000 or $300,000 depending. But let's just say it's $150,000 to $200,000 as a starter home, and we'd use that as a first-time home buyer's home. Well, that home, what we usually think of as a first-time home buyer, could also be used for people who are empty nesters that want to downsize. Could also be used for someone who's an elderly couple and they don't want to have a big house anymore. So all of a sudden that one product goes after 3 different markets, 3 different interests with 3 different reasons they'd want to buy it. But you have one product that can go to 3 different markets. So each week I could be coming in talking about the same product, but I could talk about the different markets that could buy, different target markets that could buy this. Does that make sense? So that really helps out in terms of, you have to know your product and service, your different target markets, and then you want to kind of connect that each week as you go through to what you're doing. What you don't want to do when you do a weekly presentation is switch what you're talking about overall every single week. You need to have a strategy in place so they connect. It's a whole other conversation, but you want to make sure that you're connecting in doing that. Okay, we got a minute for a couple other questions. How to vary your 1 minute to balance requests for referrals for short and long-term biz. How to vary your 1 minute to balance request for referrals for short and long-term biz. So if I'm understanding you right, Mike McGraw put that, is if I want to do kind of like we were just talking about the, what do you call it? The today's money, tomorrow's money. So how do I vary, like if I want to get business like today in the next 30, 60 days versus going forward? It's not a BNI answer. it's a business answer for you. And that's why this is really important to know your business is, where is your business right now? So meaning in the next 60, 90 days, what percentage of business do you have closed? If it's 20 or 30%, then, and you need to get to 70, 80%, if you know that, then I would say focus all your time on that. Let's get that going and let's kind of start to do that. But meanwhile, what you can be doing is you'll probably end up getting referrals that won't close until 90, 120 days. Start to see what's going on with what you're asking for and when they're coming in. Okay, I believe take care of yourself first. Make sure you're getting the money in that you need to in the next 90 days, but you want to start to slowly shift that. So maybe it's like you do, if you're doing, your 4 or 5 weekly presentations a month, then maybe start with 1 a month asking for more future business. And then if you're doing okay in terms of your current business, then maybe you do 2 a month, right? And then even in that, at the end when you ask for referrals, sometimes you can ask for, look, what I'm looking for is A and B. And if you're specific enough with it, it's okay to ask for 2 different type of referrals. I know it's kind of verboten, but if you're being specific enough, it can really work. You don't have to ask for just 1. Hope that answered the question. You're welcome, Greta. Craig Moore, you talked about both about B2B and B2C, and the question I get asked a lot is, do people targeting B2C have less impact or get less opportunities than B2B? No, I don't think so at all. I think, it's about them, and it's about how they're positioning to the chapter. I think the problem with most people who are doing B2C is they don't see that they have different verticals. They don't see that they have different target markets because everybody's a potential for them. When I've worked with companies and individuals and businesses on doing marketing strategies, I'll say to them, look, we have to be very specific with what we're looking for. We have to pick out 3 or 4 or 5 at most vertical markets we want to go after and really start to focus on that, those target markets. People say, but if I focus on those, I'm going to lose these other people over here. I'm losing that business. So then my response is, you know what? You're right. Why don't we focus on everybody, and that way we can lose everybody equally, all right? You don't have the budget to go after everybody. So you have to know what you're doing. So the opportunities in BNI, B2B to B2C, depends on a couple different things. 1, what's the makeup of the chapter? Okay. So again, do they have the people in the chapter, kind of the power team members, the contact sphere members that they need to kind of help them out in terms of what they're doing? And how are you really clear on what you want from your business? And therefore, are you clear with what you're asking for in BNI? It goes back to the specificity. It's a great question you're asking, Craig, but the reality is it's up to the member to really help develop that. And if they don't know, it's up to the director to help that member. But it's about, you have to understand what a good referral is for you, and you have to know how to ask for it. And let's think about it. If I'm going B2C, you know what C's are? They're customers. They're everyday people. They're all around. Everybody sitting in that chapter is one of those people with everybody that they know. So if anything, I think maybe the businesses have less opportunities than the people who are going, the B2B people have almost less opportunities than the B2C people because they see it that way. But I know that a lot of B2C people believe that they may have less. So it's a great question. I hope that answered it. And we have time for about 1 more question. Okay, yeah. So I said that I look like Robert De Niro in Casino with these glasses. What do you think? Do I need to start talking differently? You think that makes sense? So look, guys, thank you. So I appreciate everybody being here today. It's last time we watched this, I was actually really impressed with the number of people that were watching, and within a day or so after, we went up to a good couple thousand views on this. I want to make these really valuable for you, for everybody else. You're welcome to share this with anybody that you know in BNI, outside of BNI, members, directors, it doesn't matter. But I want to make this valuable for everybody. So please give me your input, email me directly, put it on the Facebook page. What else could I talk about that would be valuable for me? Don't get me wrong. I have like a few months worth of programs put together, but if I find there's something that's really popular, it's something that you want, I'm happy to customize it for you that way. So we'll go through this, and tomorrow will be posted on my website. On the Facebook page, so anybody will be able to watch it there. And like I said, in May when I'm back, we'll start to put them on YouTube as well, so you can see them there. All right. So let's see what time. Oh, look at that, 3:29. Could I be more on time? Could I be more on time? I don't think so. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. It was a wonderful time working. Thank you for all the questions. I appreciate it. I will not be seeing you in April because I'll be away the whole month. But back in May, I'll send an email out again. We're probably going to do 2nd and 4th week in May. I'll do that, but I'll send those out as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.